Opinions and stories around the game we love, told by your favorite storytellers. Stay up to date with all things cricket. Subscribe to Cricbuzz's YouTube channel and press that bell icon now.
The night should produce an absolutely mouth-watering affair. Have a look at this. It's the Ashes battle. It's England versus Australia. It's the old rivalry. Yes, we all talk about India, Pakistan in this part of the world, but it doesn't get better than England taking on Australia at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. Michael Vaughan, you've been part of many of these battles. Purely from an off-field perspective, what is the extra 20% it means for an England player walking out for this battle?
Well, we had the warm-up last week, India, Pakistan. Now we've got the main course, England versus Australia.
He's trolling us again.
Yeah, you gave us quite a nice warm-up. No, this is massive. I mean, you know, it's huge. The Ashes is the monster. T20 cricket, 50-over cricket. Whenever England play Australia, it's a great contest, and we've got two teams that are playing good cricket. England over the last few years have been, you know, the best white ball team across all the 2020 and the 50-over format. Australia, particularly in subcontinent conditions, have been got at. You know, they've had, you know, difference of squads because players wouldn't travel, and now they've got their main squad. They look like they've got a real powerful lineup. David Warner back in form. You know, I think that's a massive play for Australia. Without Warner in form, I think it's a massive cog in their wheel that's not quite right. Now he's had a knockout in the middle. That's a real threat for the rest of the world. I still fancy England because of the experience, because of the better bowling combinations. Adil Rashid, Moeen Ali, you know, two real high quality spinners. I would expect England to target Zampa. You know, I think England are the kind of team that, you know, when a bowler like Samba, who's had so much success, and some teams might say, "Oh, knock him out the way and just take him for 2024." I think England will go the other way and try and whack him out the attack to completely try and derail the Australian think tank, because they'll be looking at Australia and go, "Okay, if we can whack Zampa, what else have you got?" You know, that's the way England think about white ball cricket. Now it's a risk, but they probably have become the best white ball team because they're willing to take, you know, a lot of risks. They know they bat deep. You know, that engine room right at the top, they have one school of thought. Butler and Roy, it's just whack boundaries. In those first 6 overs, whack boundaries. You know what? If we got off to a real flying start, Malan may come in, but he may not. You know, so you're never quite sure with England, you know, who's going to come in, which combinations. I think Australia are getting to that kind of level where you're not quite sure where Maxwell's going to play. You know, they move Maxwell around, so I think as an opposing team, you're watching and thinking, oh, when's he coming? Do we save a bit of pace for Maxi when he comes in, or do we kind of gamble at the top? I think the real quality T20 teams, you've got to keep the other side guessing a little bit. If it's so obvious who's going to be coming and who's going to be bowling well, I think these teams who are really good can plan to play against that. Both these sides look like they've got combinations that they can change around subtly to force more of a pressure zone onto the opposition side. I can't wait for it. It'll be an
Certainly will be. Let's have a look at the Australia squad first, since Michael referred to them first up. And if you're talking about targeting Adam Zampa, Sri Lanka actually targeted their fifth bowler, and that was a combination of Marcus Stoinis and Glenn Maxwell. So that would be a lot of bowlers to target. Do Australia have a fifth bowler problem here, Michael?
Yeah, they do. But, you know, the pitches and the experience of the likes of Maxwell and Stoinis, you know, I think on a given day they're more than a fifth bowler. I think they're better than that. It's just on a given day you always look at one of your bowlers that's on that serve and think, you know, you'll have to do well to get your 4 out of that specific bowler on that given day. You know, they've got good combinations. I don't think Australia will be too concerned about all the different bowling combinations. But what you do get against England is a batting line that will keep going. A batting line that won't worry about, you know, knocking the ball around after the 6. They'll just keep going. There's only one player in the batting line that really knocks it, and that's Malan. Malan will knock it around and just play and just trying to rotate the strike. He's got 1 or 2 nice boundary options, but he'll just settle in there and bat. The rest of them, they're all firecrackers. They just think, watch the ball and whack it into the stands. That's pretty much the process.
Yeah, you can look at that on paper. I mean, Michael's described it all. He's talked them up the way they should be. It looks a settled 11. They've got players outside that 11 who could be impact players, but the way they've been playing, we reckon it's going to be that same 11. But apart from...
They're like the Chennai, honestly, Tim, it's the Chennai Super Kings. Don't even consider thinking about changes. There's no chance. Owen Morgan, he'll just roll them out again. Keep going.
We weren't thinking about that at all, Joy. But just from Australia's point of view, Maxwell will be disappointed with his last outing. But he'll also remember that in these conditions, he's done really well in that second leg of the IPL. So he'll want to bring that back and say, if there's one match I need to turn up, it's this one. He's the big show, and this could be his big show.
This is his big show, and this is, he had a disappointing time with the ball as well, because he and Stoinis went for, I think, 51 in their 4 overs, and they were really hit badly. So I think both ways he's going to look at it and say, how can I make more of an impact in the game? And again, big show, big event. This is a virtual, top of the group clash, top of the table clash. So it's, whoever wins it gets the chance of probably not playing Pakistan. It's a big one.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'll just stay with it. Yeah.
I think what'll be interesting is Moeen Ali's bowled great with a new ball to left-handers. Aaron Finch loves off-spin. And what Aaron Finch will do, he'll try and get the strike of Moeen Ali. He'll try and put him into the stands very early. That's what his game plan will be. Off-spin, it's going into the stands. So it'll be interesting to see what England do. They might not go with Moeen Ali at the top. They might just change that around a little bit. They'll know that apart from Glenn Maxwell in the middle, they feel that, and I think it's right, that they can get at Australia with spin. Maxwell can be a brilliant striker of spin, but I think a few of them in that middle. Steve Smith can rotate, but I don't think they'll feel that he can hit it into the stands. Stoinis, they'll feel that he can bowl dots to him, particularly with the spin. So I'm really interested to see the strategy of the England bowling kind of combination, to see when they go, when they don't. Will they go the same, or will they kind of go pace to start with? They'll know that Aaron Finch, because they're all playing together in all these leagues, they know that off-spin and they won't want to offer him.
2 individuals just to finish with. Mitchell Starc. There is a Mitchell Starc who's been leaking runs in the past, but there is a Mitchell Starc who can produce the Yorker he produced the other day. If he can pick up a couple more of those, you could be the quality England lineup that you are. That was something worth contending with. Joy?
Yeah, I think Starc is a danger, but exactly what Michael is talking about, saying that England can lose a couple of wickets, still they lose about 4 or 5, they're going to keep going at the same pace. They're not going to stop it. That's their philosophy, saying that, okay, 1 match out of 10, maybe all my batsmen will get out. But 9 matches out of 10, this is enough for me to keep rolling. I'm not going to change my strategy. So Starc 2 overs up front. Jason Roy does one thing very well. He uses the crease very well. So if he thinks Starc is swinging, expect him to move just that little bit outside to try and negate the fact that, give him a little less distance to swing in. It's something that, in his heyday, Matt Hayden used to do very well. Jason Roy does that very well as well.
Yeah, and the man...
They'll just try and whack Starc. I think, Starc's wonderful bowler, but I do think England feel that if they can get him early, he can have off days as well. You can put him under pressure and he can start to bowl a few wides and he can be affected. And the way that you do that is by hitting for a few boundaries. And England will risk wickets to try and hit Starc.
Yeah, we saw what Kusal Perera did. It's a different matter. He got out next ball, but the 6 he hit off Mitchell Starc showed that he can be hit. Get the wrong length, you'll be in the stands. But the other man, just to finish off with the individuals, Michael, someone who's born 2 days before you are, David Warner. Of everybody, he'd be glad himself. Australia would be glad. The fans would be glad. He needed that form.
Yeah, and he's got a habit of playing well against England. No Jofra Archer. Jofra's had him out a few times in all formats of the game. He's a big kind of game player, David Warner. And when the pressure was on in the last game, all the talk, he got asked plenty of questions in the press conference. Justin Langer came out and said he's never seen him better the day before. And I thought, well, wait a minute, is that just a little bit of bravado? But I think with David Warner, when you get him in that kind of mongrel mood, that kind of fighting, aggressive mood, I fear him because I just think he's a better player. He's a better player when he's really busy, he's calling really loudly, running between the wickets hard, in the field, really challenging the boundary, running in hard, getting the ball into and flinging it into the keeper. When I see that body language from David Warner, I feel that he's back to his best mentality, and I saw that in the last game.